Pro boxing fans here with Eddie Hearn. Eddie, looking fresh off a free-for-all on Twitter last night. How are you feeling? How's things?
Feeling great, mate. It was good fun. You know, it's like when it's you against the world, sometimes it's like it just gives you a little springing step. So I woke up at 5:30 this morning. I had a nice long run. I had an ice bath. Looked in the mirror, thought you're looking unbelievable, and then drove up to Nottingham. And we're ready here for the show on Saturday and just continue taking on the world, because it really is us against the world.
Did you expect a lot of people to get involved? It started off with Dan Raphael, and then we got.
Dan upset me because he should know better. You know, he knows that there's a lot of people in boxing with agendas. You know, they gave him some fake numbers which he chose to report. So when you do that, you've got to make a decision. Do you take a punt and hope they're real, or you have to bear the brunt? That's why DAZN wanted to issue a statement and some numbers last night, and he should know better. When he starts saying that half of the numbers are from the US, no, more like 80% of the numbers are from the US. But again, like, you're never going to please everyone. There's a lot of people with agendas, and you know, I just felt last night, whether it's him, whether it's Lou DiBella, whether it's Lenny, you know, we had to just have a little bit of fun with it. But people love that shit.
We love it. That's why we're asking you the questions. But I do need to ask you, Stephen Espinosa did come out and say the 1.06 million figure that you gave, is that just pay-per-view buys, or is that subscribers as well? Because
people who bought the fight. In different territories, the price point is different. Some it could be pay-per-view in addition to your subscription. Others is people that subscribed for that fight. It's just optics from him. You know, he talks about, oh, well, we would do more pay-per-view buys. There's still people in different markets that are buying the fight. Whether they're buying it for one night pay-per-view in addition to their subscription, or if it's not pay-per-view in that market, they're purchasing the fight, and the way to purchase that fight is to buy a subscription. So obviously the revenue's different in different markets. And then, you know, Dan came back and said, yeah, but did the revenue cover the fighters' purses? What the fuck's it got to do with you? And by the way, what about the gate, which was 22 million, which no one wants to report because that's one of the biggest gates? And PBC boys going around telling people, oh, apparently the gate only did 10 million. Well, guess what? You have to actually report the gate, and you'll see it this week, and it's just under $22 million. So the show did very well, thank you very much.
Leonard Ellerbe says if you want to know how to handle a big fight, get in touch with him.
Oh, apparently, because he's done so many big fights. I mean, I don't know whether I'm just living in a world that actually, maybe it doesn't actually exist. I mean, I've got a feeling I just did Canelo against Triple G in Las Vegas, and then a couple of weeks before I was in Saudi doing Joshua against Usyk, and a couple of weeks before that I was doing Canelo against Bivol in Vegas, and then I was doing Katie Taylor against Amanda Serrano, selling that out, and then I was about to do the first show in Brisbane in Australia. Then I just signed Chocolatito against Estrada 3. Then we're doing Katie Taylor at Wembley. Then I'm doing a massive show in Abu Dhabi with Dimitri Bivol, Chantel Cameron, Joe Cordina against Rakimov. Then we've got Dillian White coming back in. I mean, I don't know what more I've got to do. What the fuck's he doing other than wiping Floyd Mayweather's bum? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like what I'm actually doing. Maybe it's not actually happening. So, but the one thing I say about Leonard, I think he's starting to get it, because it wasn't. Normally he's quite aggressive, like I'm going to stomp him out, I'm going to stamp on his head. But it was actually quite funny. I think he's getting the sarcasm and everything, but I just got to put him in his place. You know, if you honestly, like, if you look at the two comparisons of achievements, please, and like he's putting himself in, you know, come and see me and Floyd and Al Heyman. Come on, mate.
I do want to talk about someone else who has had something to say. The interview's been taken down, but Jake Paul talked about yourself, Matchroom, you know, being corrupt. There's articles that have come out. The interview's obviously been taken down for whatever reason, I'm not sure, but obviously the quotes, I watched it as well. But what do you make of
Paul down?
What do you make of the quotes that he said?
Listen, Jake Paul, it's all good fun, right? And in certain ways, Jake Paul's good for boxing. What he said the other night was completely outrageous, and he will take those words back, because we take the sport very seriously. We take our integrity very seriously. We take the future of the sport seriously. He can come in and mess around and say this and say that, but what he said was outrageous. I mean, talking about judges, Glenn Feldman is one of the best judges in boxing. Speak to everyone. Sometimes people put in a card that you don't agree with, and I don't often disagree with Glenn Feldman's scorecard. I did in the AJ Usyk fight, and by the way, in the Triple G fight, Steve Weisfeld, another amazing judge, scored it 115, 113. So, but like, Jake's just got to watch himself, because he's got to respect the sport. You can't just come in and start sort of bad mouthing people like Glenn Feldman and stuff. Like, these are outstanding judges. And people like us that have been in the sport for 35 years and have given a lot of our life and our time to sport and care about it very much. So he'll, you know, though that we will take action against Jake Paul unless he rectifies those comments. Because jokes aside, and he's average and all that, no fucking around with this one. You don't say stuff like that. So we'll see where it goes.
Just a final one from myself. Frank Warren's been on TalkSport yesterday, saying we're 90% there. They've sort of been sold for yourselves in regards to dates, whatever else been demanded from Team Joshua. They're sort of bending the rules for that. Do you feel like you're getting any closer? Do you feel like it is close?
We received the contract. It wasn't really in the form that we wanted, but that's being changed, and it's all positive. And you know, no one's bad-mouthing anyone. We're all moving in the right direction. We've got to speed it up. It worries me a little bit that Manuel Charles saying that he's fighting Tyson Fury on December 3rd. But in our minds, in the mind of the teams, we're all moving forward, and that's the next fight for Anthony Joshua. So fingers crossed.
Eddie, always a pleasure talking to yourself. Thank you very much.